What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. We are back with yet another non-gameplay video. Hopefully that's not disappointing to all of you. Maybe some of you. Maybe you're getting tired of just listening to me talk. Although last week, I guess if you watched the live video, you got to watch me, Chris, and Tyler talk. And hopefully mostly Chris and Tyler about... how to play the game and in an actual game there with the starter decks. And then also we got to talking about the some of the ideas, I guess, or some of the process behind creating the Israel's Deliverance starter decks and kind of what that was like for them. We kind of started talking about that pretty close to the end of the game. We got into it a tiny bit, and then I was kind of like, all right, we should just finish the game here, and then we can talk about that afterwards. So that was kind of the way that the video structure broke down. So if you already know how to play the game and you're shorter on time, I guess, and but you still want to listen to the information about the starter decks and how those came to be, you can you can skip forward in that video and just watch kind of the ending of it there, the second half maybe. I don't know if half is the right word there. I'm not sure exactly how long the game lasted, but I think it was a fun video a fun live stream to go through. We had a few people who interacted with the live chat asking some questions, so thanks to those of you who did that if you're watching this video. So that was great. We were talking about how to play the game and then how the starter decks came to be, which are a great tool for teaching people the game. So I think that was a lot of fun. You guys can go check that out, and recommend the tutorial series that I'm in the process of doing to others. This is not part of that tutorial series, as you probably guessed by clicking on the video already. This is going to be more of an exploration of deck building tools and the process by which you can deck build with just on the computer, like not using physical cards. Maybe you don't have all the physical cards you want, and so you can you like to build decks on Lackey. That's certainly a good way to do things. I typically like to I don't know, I like having like the physical cards. That's always like what feels the best, but just because of time, and then because I'm making most of my decks for videos and stuff that will be played on Lackey, then it makes sense for me to build decks on Lackey, and so that is primarily what I use to build decks now. And it also means I don't have to sort all of my cards every other week. All of the cards that don't make it into decks and that kind of stuff. So that is helpful. But there are other tools that you can use to build decks, and also we're going to be talking specifically about the budget of a deck, or kind of how to maybe convert a list that you find online, or from somebody posts in the Discord, or from one of my videos, one of Tyler's videos. These deck lists that are kind of refined to be competitive, and they're kind of created without any sort of budget. I am going to be doing a kind of budgetization, I guess, of this deck right over here that that is on the screen behind me here. Which is a deck that I haven't tested much, really, or at least this version of it. I have a Type 2 version of this offense-defense pairing, which is really fun, and I've played only one game with it, but it worked fairly well. I put it together pretty quickly, and it performed well. I think overall in the game I was satisfied with how it performed based on the amount of time that I had invested into it, and also the sort of limitations I had based on the cards that I had at the time. I didn't have all of the duplicates of cards that I wanted for a Type 2 deck, so I had to make some substitutions there. But anyways, I have played more or less this offense, and I'm on the channel, and I've played more or less this defense on the channel. The offense was in the Welcome to the Jungle video, where I just took Tyler's Welcome to the Wilderness deck and I changed it up a little bit, and then I swapped out the defense for this deck in to be more of the Wilderness Brown focus that my post-exilic, I forgot what I called that video. I'm the most recent post-exilic deck I posted, where I spoiled Jaden the Maranothite, and that was in a game against Josh, and the video title name is escaping me. I'm sure it was super creative, super good. John Hendricks, I'm sure, is proud. That's all I got for trying to remember that for now. Anyways, this is an adaptation of that defense. There are a few things that are different, just because I wanted to make it more of a wilderness focus. That one is a little more splashed, and so this version will have the more of the wilderness unity on defense for things like 40 years here, and to work well with Israel's Rebellion and that kind of stuff. So that is where this deck came from. It's currently at 52 cards, and what we're going to be doing is trying to adapt it to be more of a budget deck, and this is actually serving a dual purpose of a video and also kind of being the process of converting this into a contender deck. So we actually have a goal, a kind of target range for the value of the deck. We're going to be using Your Turn Games prices, and I'm going to show you guys kind of how I go about doing that. Like, sometimes I will build contender decks just from scratch, from the ground up, but most of the time when I'm historically, when I've built a contender deck, it has been based on a more competitive or mainstream deck that I already have built, that didn't have any strings attached, no budget, just going whatever is the best in the card pool, and then kind of pulling it back a little bit, card by card, starting with the bigger cards or the bigger value cards and making substitutions there. So to get started with that, I suppose we'll transition over to the spreadsheet that I have created for what the deck currently is. This is in my Google Sheets. I've set this up I've set up kind of a template for myself for building contender decks, which you'll have the card name over here that will be pulled down from a data tab that I have over here that has all of the current prices from Your Turn Games. I have to update that relatively regularly, but it pulls it from a different sheet, so it's not terribly inefficient. It actually works pretty well, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it works. I will say a disclaimer now, I'm not intending to put this out as like a public spreadsheet that everybody can use. It does seem like it might seem like it would be helpful, but I think that there are just better tools out there, and namely, I guess, like Renee's deck editor that he is working on, I think would be better suited for building a deck and just being able to visualize it, getting the card types, the numbers. It's still a work in progress, so I won't I'm not gonna say you'll get all of the same features that I have here. I mean, mainly the price is the thing that I don't think he has integrated at this point. He might be able to do that at some point if he works with Andy and or Ken from in the Your Turn Games or the Three Lines Gaming prices. Maybe getting both, that would be pretty cool. But that is this is really just something that I'm using, and I don't know, some people might be interested in it, but I'm not really planning to make it a public thing. I think the other issue with that would just be like having to it would put more or give more work to Andy for making the price list, having to send that out, update it for everyone every time he updates it and stuff. I don't know, maybe there could be a way for if he wanted to make that publicly available as just like a downloadable thing from the website, that's a possibility, but that would be just another added thing for him. So anyways, all that to say, don't you don't ask me for the spreadsheet, I guess. I don't know. It's not that I don't want it to be available. I just think that it would kind of create an expectation of upkeep. You can certainly ask me about like how I did it and how some of the Google Sheet stuff works. I Googled most of it to get everything kind of organized the way that I wanted to, so it took a little bit of time and effort there, and I could save you that if you wanted to ask me about that. But it's probably helpful if you're able to create something like this yourself, especially with like it's not an application, it's just Google Sheets, so it takes a little bit of knowledge of the process, I think, to fully understand what you're looking at and how to use it. So anyways, so I've got all the card names over on the leftmost column here. Then the card types I just have from a big drop down of all the possible card types. For most of the dual icon cards, I have like, or at least for the characters and enhancements, I have like hero, evil character, good enhancement, evil enhancement, that kind of stuff, instead of like dual alignment character or card, because a card like Firefox's, which is a good enhancement and an evil character, you can say dual alignment card, but it doesn't distinguish it from someone like King Saul, who's a hero and an evil character. So that is just the way I did that. I have covenants in here. I have cities and curses, because those are the dual icon cards that have exactly what, they're always the same thing. They're always, enhancement or good enhancement and artifact for a covenant, for instance, I guess. I do have dual alignment dominant as one of the options here. Anyways, then whether or not it's in the deck or the reserve, and then this price column, which pulls it from my data sheet over here with the Your Turn Games price. So as you can see, the total, hopefully you can see that. I don't know, it could be a little bit too small for you, but over here on the price totals, this deck comes out currently to $634.50, which that is quite a bit. We've got a long ways to go to get this price total down to kind of like 100 to 140 or so, and that's probably high, like 130. And he does sell the decks at a discount, and I do have the math here for some of those, or just to get an idea. He'll kind of adjust it to whatever makes sense for him, but just to give me an idea of like the 80%, 75%, 70% of the total value in these columns over here, or rows, I guess, over here. And then I guess the one thing like that's worth noting for this deck specifically, though, is that the dominance, the 7 dominants make up $291 of the total here. So that's just under half of the whole deck. So that's definitely going to be a big budgeting part. And those are using the current. This is using the current prices for the lowest priced version of any particular card, with the exception of the dominants that are available via the fundraiser, because they're not available on Your Turn Games yet. They're only being sold on the Cactus Game Design Square site for the fundraiser currently. So Second Coming, Three Woes, and Shipwreck are the 3 main dominants that are like they're very not budget friendly. I mean, at least as far as redemption is concerned. For some other games, those are fairly budget, but that's a pretty much, they're like right at the high end of redemption. And so at the Square site, you can get the newer versions of those from the fundraiser that are like $25 to $30 each, something like that. And so those may be included with, may be able to be included with contender decks at some point, but currently that is not the case. just because Andy doesn't have them available to sell at this point, since they're still available from Cactus. So not sure when that will happen, but hopefully at some point in the future. And then whether you buy them with the contender decks or if they're just a separate like add-on sort of thing, that has yet to be determined, because they're not really like they're not specific to any type of deck really. So they're not like 40 years, which is a wilderness dominant that's right now it's $55. And Israel's Rebellion is the same. So this is really a tough deck for to make a budget deck. We're gonna do the best that we can. The final result of this video, where we end up with the deck, is not almost guaranteed not going to be what is available as a contender deck on Your Turn Games exactly, but I'm just going to try to get as close as I can to around that area. There will be some playtesting yet to do and some other reviews from Andy and that kind of stuff that it will go through first, and probably some other tweaks that I will do personally before, outside of the video, after the video, when I'm not trying to talk through everything that I'm thinking about. So all right, where to get started here? I think the way, I guess the other feature I have is all the different card types. With a contender deck, sometimes we like to try to make sure all the card types are included. I do have camps on here, which are just characters and fortresses. I guess I didn't mention that before. They're also indicated by like always being a fortress and a character. So I've got good and evil camps. Anyways, we try to spread out the card types in the contender decks a little bit, just so that if you're buying a contender deck as a newer player, you're getting exposure to the different card types. And also, part of the reason that I was fine leaving this deck at 52 cards before finalizing it is that with dominance, we typically will not include all 7 dominants with the contender decks that the maximum that you could have, because basically because of the reason that the most popular and powerful dominants are a little more expensive, on the higher non-budget end, and those are the ones that people will probably either buy or they'll open in packs at some point and want to just include those in their deck. And we don't necessarily need to give them filler dominants that are just there to take up space until they get something else. I think we're better off utilizing the places in the deck with more effective cards instead of just putting like Vain Philosophy and Strife and other starter deck dominants in those slots. So we're going to be taking out 2 of these dominants for sure, and then swapping out the rest of the non-budget friendly ones for other more budget friendly cards, to end up with 50 cards in the deck. And then everything else we're just going to try to swap out kind of one for one. But this deck is going to be a little bit different just because of some of the changes that we're going to have to make. So let's start out by I'd like to do the Lost Souls last. Not necessarily last. I guess I like to do the Lost Souls kind of towards the end of any deck build that I do, just because I know I'm going to have those 7 slots for Lost Souls, and what Lost Souls are best are going to be based on kind of what the rest of the deck looks like. But I do think we could go ahead and start out with the dominance. I like to do the same thing with dominance, but I think in this case we can start kind of figuring out which of these dominants are actually going to be staying in the deck, and just because that's going to cut the price down pretty quickly, very dramatically, and I think that will kind of give us an idea of how much more we'll need to do with the rest of the deck. And just a note, I do have fancy versions of cards in here that, obviously you're not going to get the first place national promo, or national tournament promo Son of God from 2023 or well, any year in a contender deck, it's going to be probably one of the starter deck, Son of Gods. I think the I and J deck are the most budget friendly ones, so those will probably be what would be used unless it's like a you need a gospel Son of God for a gospel contender, or the Daniel one for a Daniel contender, or something like that. But anyways, I like to use the fancy versions in Lackey, but you won't be getting the the fancy versions of Son of God and Christian Martyr in your typical contender deck here. So all of these 5 dominants are going to not make the budget here. And I did pull out some cards here that will be likely to be options, or kind of more on the budget side for cards that we want to swap out. We've got a bunch of Lost Souls and then a few dominants here. All the contender decks do come with the New Jerusalem promo, which is a little more on the expensive side. So I'm just going to kind of set or make a new stack here so that we can go in and update the spreadsheet when the time comes. Angel of the Lord is a good fit for any deck at this level, especially. And then I'm trying to decide if basically I think only one of these really makes sense to use. I do like Murderous Command as an option with this deck to get Pharaoh's Daughter out, and then I think we're probably going to end up with the Malachite Slave in here instead of the Deceiver, because the Deceiver is a $20 card right now in your turn games, so that is not very budget friendly. So that will probably end up coming out. Honestly, I could just go ahead and pull out all of, or just kind of separate all of the cards that are less budget friendly. I mean, the ultra rares especially, but there will be some other ones that won't quite fit. So like Deceiver, Moses, Sheol, even Storehouse is like $5 right now, which you can have like $5 cards in a contender level budget deck, but you can't have too many, I guess. So you can't have too many of those kind of higher end rares. I think Covenant with Moses is another one. So let's see, Book the Covenant, Sheol, Lost Souls. They're pretty much all of these are going to have to be replaced except for like Aimless. So let's go ahead and slide those down. And we'll take a look at the finer ones, the kind of more the ones that are more on the edge of budget later. But these are kind of the main cards that are going to be have to be swapped out here. And then let's see, in reserve, You'll Remain is about $9 right now, so that's probably going to be on the chopping block here as well. Especially with Book of the Covenant coming out, you do kind of have to change the style of the deck a little bit. I mean, the biggest thing that is really going to have to shift the focus of the deck a little bit is swapping out this Moses. Moses the Servant is great and works well in a fairly specific kind of deck that likes to do a lot of banding and such like that, but it's not, he's an ultra rare, so not very budget friendly. So if we want a wilderness budget, or a budget wilderness deck, we are going to have to shift the focus slightly, which is a little bit unfortunate because, I mean, sometimes that's just what you have to do for budgetizing a deck. Is budgetizing a word? I don't know. It is now. For making a competitive deck into a budget deck, there are going to be some things that do cause you to shift your focus. Like in like a Ruth deck, you don't necessarily have to do that because, David, Heart After God, is definitely one of your strongest heroes, and he's very, very powerful and important, I think, to have in a competitive version of the deck. But without him, it doesn't really revolve around him necessarily. Zerubbabel is maybe similar in the post-exilic deck. I would say that he's probably a little bit more essential to that theme than like David is to the Ruth deck. But I think that now Moses is maybe kind of more on that level of Zerubbabel where the style or the theme changes a little bit without him, or kind of the way that you have to play it changes a little bit, because there's no like great one-for-one kind of budget substitute that maybe does the same thing but just a little bit worse. Moses, his kind of budget version, really, I mean, you've got two options there. You could go with the Moses Friend of God, which doesn't really fit with the rest of this deck, or you could do Moses, the Cloud of Witnesses Moses, which also isn't a super budget friendly deck or card, but I mean, you can have a fairly limited few of those kind of cards in the deck. Like I mentioned, You Will Remain is a $9 card. I think Moses, Cloud of Witnesses, is probably around there as well. We could even go in and change him in the spreadsheet right now. Sorry, I'm not showing all of you here, but yeah, Moses, Cloud of Witnesses, it's $7. So I mean, that's not really that bad. So anyways, that is probably going to be the swap there. And then because of Moses, see what I did there? That's what people like to say, because of Moses, because of the Cloud Moses negating things and really switching up the game. We do have to build the deck slightly differently, because it's going to affect our territory class stuff and our battle options. And so I think that the way that the deck is going to focus, or like change focus mainly, is like Pharaoh's Daughter. I think you're going to want to play a lot of times as good instead of evil. In most of these style of decks recently, you've wanted to play Pharaoh's Daughter as evil, because then you can do Plague of Hail for max value to discard your opponent's top 5 cards, and then discard your Pharaoh's Daughter as the cost for doing so. In this deck, I think the upside of getting the CBP enhancements on your offense is going to outweigh that, especially now that there are some decent Exodus enhancements that Moses can play, other than just the plagues. You've got some more interrupt the battle kind of effects, or like negate effects that do work on Moses if you have Pharaoh's Daughter down. Israelites Delivered is great. There's the new Moses and Elders. There's the new Freedom, which is CBP on Moses, on Moses anyway, because he's an Exodus hero. And we don't have the Roots cards in Lackey yet. They are on Your Turn games, so we'll be able to put them in the spreadsheet, but I won't be able to pull them up on here. And I'm going to go through the cards on Your Turn games on the website in order to show you guys that. So that'll kind of be the sponsor part of this video. In case that you forgot, this video and all my videos are sponsored by Your Turn Games, so you can check out their website in the description below. They have all the singles and these contender decks that I've been telling you about. That's where you can find those available for sale, and see where all these prices that I'm talking about are coming from. All right, so we've got the Moses thing figured out. I think the Deceiver we're going to switch out for the Amalekite Slave. The Fall of Man Amalekite Slave here is definitely not budget, but the Roots version is $5 right now, fairly budget. Is it 5 or 3? One of the two. It's doable, and I think in this deck it will make sense to run that. Anyways, back to the dominant conversation. So because of Amalekite Slave, that was kind of, I think, what got me mainly sidetracked here. Murderous Command is certainly a good option. Just the fact that you can help out your defense, or help out your offense, I guess, with Murderous Command in a pinch. Like if you really need to get Moses out, then you can do that. And I'm almost positive. I just clicked on this now, and so otherwise I would have asked before making the video, but it makes sense in my head at least. So you can take an Evil Egyptian from deck or reserve, so you can search for Pharaoh's Daughter. If you're just playing Murderous Command in your preparation phase, for instance, you can play this to take Pharaoh's Daughter from your deck, and then the discard a hero in a territory to add an evil Egyptian to battle is, you can still discard a hero in a territory even in your preparation phase. You can't add anything to battle because you can't add to battle when you're not in the battle phase, but that's the benefit. The cost is discard a hero in a territory, and so you can always pay the cost without getting the benefit. So in my head, I'm pretty sure that works as far as the rules are concerned. So it's not like you're losing out on all of the value. I mean, you're losing out on some of the value with your, you're not getting the battle extension aspect of it there, but that's not what the primary use of the card is going to be. We've got plenty of other ways to get to Moses, but that is a use for the card for sure, in a pinch. And then Pillar of Fire, I think, also just makes sense in here. So this could be a 6 dominant deck. It could be that we just don't run Christian Martyr, or potentially cut Angel of the Lord as well. I don't know. It's an Exodus card, so it kind of fits with the theme of the deck. I don't think there's anything that specifically like works with good Exodus cards though, like Angel of the Lord. So I don't know. We'll see. But for now, I think we'll set those in here. Or we can maybe put them over here with what they're going to be replaced. But I had 52 slots, and so like I only had 2 slots for cards, or I was planning to cut 2 dominants, but right now we've got an extra dominant in here. We're replacing 4 of them instead of 5, or 4 of them instead of 3. So we'll see how that goes. I was thinking that the fairly obvious swap with Sheol here could be Tabara. It kind of does the same thing as far as like the Lost Souls, but instead of triggering on search abilities, it triggers on your opponent playing a dominant, and then it shuffles the Lost Soul instead. And then it works with the defense as far as activating curses. I only have 1 curse in the main deck, so it's not quite as effective. And I also don't like it quite as much, or like you don't get the add to battle, so it's not quite as exciting, I guess, or powerful with Zelophehad, whose goal is to play your Sheol early on to just be a counter for your opponent and start hiding some Lost Souls, and then use the add to battle if need be. But because that is not really because that's not really the focus here of like getting Tabra out as early, then Zelophehad might be a card that gets cut in this version or swapped out for something else. So we'll see about that when we get to the defense here. And then Book of the Covenant is a little bit of a trickier one where you do have to adjust your reserve a little bit as well. Like I don't think New Covenant sticks around. It just doesn't really make sense outside of Book of the Covenant, and I think our strategy is going to be changing a little bit from banding to like solo Moses, like almost Voltron Cloud Moses. So that is not going to be as effective there anyway. So these 2 are probably getting cut out of the reserve. Covenant of Moses and Covenant with David very well might stick around. They're both good outside of Book of the Covenant, so that's something. I think 20 shekels is probably what we want here instead of Book of the Covenant, especially because that lets you bounce your Cloud Moses in order to get some flexibility with like turning off Moses so that you can play some territory class enhancements and that sort of stuff, and then you can put them right back down once you do what you want, do what you need to do. So that is pretty much changing like the biggest budget parts. I guess we could do the Lost Souls now as well, just kind of getting an idea for what some of the Lost Souls we want are. So I think Dread is a good one for this deck, especially if we're adding the Amalekite Slave. It's another way to get to Pharaoh's Daughter early, which means we get to Moses early, which is good. I pulled out some of the other more budget-friendly Lost Souls here. Unfaithful is one I like now that people are kind of moving away a little bit from the GOC and LOC offenses that are filled with meek heroes or heroes that convert to meek. And so Unfaithful is a little more powerful in this case. I think Harvest is also just a good a good option for budget decks right now, because Soul Gen is, it's not like terribly difficult to come by, but it's good to include. Just Harvest is a really easy way or easy access point, I guess, for Soul Gen. It doesn't need to be specific to a deck. There's this Foreigner is decent here. I'm not like 100% sold on it, but I like, in this style of deck, I like cards or Lost Souls that do something when they enter, because Moses is eventually going to turn Lost Souls off. And so if this does something right away when it's put into play, instead of doing something that's like ongoing that I'll want to be effective later in the game, then that's kind of what I would lean towards. But this one with the reserve rule became a lot less effective. So I'm almost I'm kind of more likely to lean towards something like Stumble. It's not great, but there can be some good effectiveness to it. For instance, like if you have a way to Moses in your opening hand and you get to I guess that doesn't quite work the way that I was thinking it was. I was thinking you could underdeck a good card from hand. But so, yeah, if drawn, you can reserve a good card from hand or underdeck a hero in territory. If you do, each other player must do the same. But if you have a card that you can get out of reserve pretty easily, maybe you don't need your Moses right away. You can reserve your Moses from your hand and then get him on turn 2 with Pharaoh's Daughter. I wouldn't really recommend that, but maybe you don't need Love Righteousness right away or something like that, like one of your territory class enhancements that you're just planning to put down Moses anyway. Stumble could, I don't know, be a decent option there. I do want to put in the new Color Guard Lost Soul from Roots. I think that is a good one to include here, and I'm not sure where the price is on all these other ones currently, but like we could just put Salty in here for now. See where that's at, but like, yeah, maybe Color Guard, and then maybe the Hormone Lost Soul could be a good fit there as well. So let's just go ahead and make all of these changes in the spreadsheet, and then we'll see where that takes us. So if you would join me here on the spreadsheet. So I made the Cloud Moses change, brought that down to $7. So we're already down under $600. Look at that. Easy peasy. All right, so for the Lost Souls, they're a little more difficult to put into the spreadsheet here, just because the names are all Lost Soul, and then either the identifier or the scripture, and they're not all the same, the way that they're entered in like Lackey, and the same, like it's similar data that's used for your turn games and all that. So anyways, I did want the Color Guard Lost Soul from Roots here, which is also $2.50. Let's see, we put in Stumble. That is 75 cents. Good price point there. Let's see what else we had here. We wanted Salty, Harvest, Unfaithful. Let's go with Unfaithful. That's $1.50. Harvest. See where that one's at. Not the promo. Let's just do the regular GOC one. Oh, that one's $5 right now. Ooh, man. Y'all are wanting that Harvest. I suppose with those fancy tokens out now, that makes sense. So maybe that one's not going to be able to make the cut. I bet Salty's got to be around there. Oh, no, it's only $3. So it is a rare. Harvest is not a rare. Yet Harvest is still in much higher demand. It's used much more often Let's see, the other one was called Dread, I think. Yeah, it's the Exodus one. So that one's $1.50. And I do want to avoid, to some degree, using starter deck cards in the contender decks, just because players are more likely to have the starter deck cards already. But on the other hand, like, it's not, it's like, if you have a starter deck, you probably want to keep it together so that you can teach it to other people, and so getting duplicates isn't really all that bad. Let's see what, I think Horma, the Lost Soul, is a little more budget friendly there. So yeah, we'll do that. I was gonna look at actually what all the Lost Souls were previously, but we just took, I think, close to $40 or so off of the price with the Lost Soul changes here. 1425 is the sum of the Lost Souls currently, so that's a pretty good pretty good price reduction there. Let's find the Angel of the Lord from the, is it the J deck or the I deck that we want here? Because it is Exodus, so you want to fit the theme. That's the J deck one. Okay. Angel of the Lord J deck. That brings that down quite a bit. And then, let's see, we have New Jerusalem. The promo, I don't know if he's doing the I&J Plus one or the promo one right now. I think I&J Plus. It's definitely the cheaper of the two, but I just don't know. It's his supply might be a little less, but that one's $7 right now, so we'll just go with that one for the sake of this video. And let's see, we need Murderous Command and Pillar of Fire. And then this Israel's Rebellion, we're just going to delete this, that line there. All right, so dominance just brought it down to 278.75. Wow, yeah, we're cooking. Yeah, 2150 for these dominants, that set of dominants there. Sheol, we're switching that out for Tabara. Book of the Covenant, we're switching out for 20 shekels. And yeah, Covenant of Moses is 5 right now, so we may end up switching that out for the other Covenant of Moses, the new one from the starter decks. But that would be another starter deck card, and yeah, we'll see how that goes here. All right, let's see. Next up, we've got the Deceiver, switching for the new Roots Amalekite Slave. There is a slight difference between that one and the Legacy Rare, which is that the Roots one can only get an Old Testament Evil Human, whereas the new version could get any Evil Human. So that would be a slight difference there. But in this deck, it doesn't make a difference because we have all Old Testament Evil Humans. So that is all the cards that we figured out right away here. You know, you will remain in New Covenant. We're going to switch out for something, but we're not quite sure yet. I guess Royal Parade is also $9 here, so that one's probably going to get switched out for maybe like the new Moses and Elders. Kind of serves a similar purpose. It's in the like interrupt the battle and do something that will hopefully win the battle for you. And it works on Cloud Moses, whereas Royal Parade does not. So we're now down to 167.50, so we're getting fairly close. But here, at this point in this is kind of where it's going to get more challenging of getting the budget down to the place where we want it, because the changes are going to be a lot more. There's not going to be huge price swings from the changes in these ones, whereas with the ultra rares, you're going from a $55 Sheol to a $3 Tabara. That's bringing down the price a lot, whereas now it's going to be a lot more incremental. So let's go back to Lackey here and figure out what other changes we can make. I'm just using the Amalekite Slave as a stand-in here for the the roots one, just because it's not in Lackey yet. I don't know when exactly. I can't say for sure when roots will be in Lackey, but we're hoping that will be soon here. Soon.tm. Not a dot there, is it? It's just soon TM. Is that what people say? I don't know. All right, so all of these cards are getting cut here. I'm gonna put those in the tokens. I'm gonna put a color guard proxy here. Okay, that's color guard, and then let's see, harvest, I guess also is going to be Horma. Oops. There we go. So we've got 2 stand-ins there. Salty is just kind of to go with Moses. That we are going to kind of gear the deck a little bit towards that. Probably one of the first things to do in that regard is cutting Kinsman's Agreement, which is good because that's a $5 card that we can certainly find a more reasonable replacement for. I think also along those lines, potential in the land is probably fine to be cut here. We are going to lose out a little bit on the soul gen part of it, but there's no way, it's not an Exodus enhancement, so it won't be CBP because of Pharaoh's Daughter, and so we're going to have to rely on some more Moses-friendly soul gen options here. Plus, I cut some brigades for Matthew. I think also, one of its good reasons to use it is because it can negate curses in special initiative. So if we run into kind of a defensive mirror match here, it can negate something like Deserving Scorn that's being activated during battle, which Moses isn't able to negate because it's an artifact. So potential in the land is a good answer for that. But Faith of Moses would perhaps be a good good alternative there to have a similar function or a similar function for the same slot. So Faith of Moses. There are a few ways that I like to use Lackey for deck building. This is the main one here, where once I have most of the cards that I want to include in the deck, actually in the deck, then I will load it into the game tab here and sort it out like this. And it's a little bit annoying because then you have to go back here to the deck editor and actually change it. But here in the game, you can spawn cards in. So if you do a backslash, or actually maybe that's the /, I don't know, whichever one's with the shift, I think that's a /, and then spawn, SPAWN, and then you can type the exact title of the card that you're looking for. So I want Faith of Moses here. Sometimes I have to go to the deck editor to look and figure out the exact title, because like if I wanted Faith of Moses alternate border one, then I would need this parentheses cow AB parentheses in the thing there. But we can just spawn the regular one here because that's what you would be getting in the contender deck if you were to buy it. So spawn Faith of Moses, it'll show up right here, and that'll be a good swap there, I think. At least for now, that's what I'm going with. All right, so Kinsman's Agreement. I mean, if for the sake of this video, for kind of getting things moving along, kind of simplifying things, I'm just going to make swaps for cards that are like similar, kind of serve a similar purpose, and I think that's kind of the best way to kind of simplify the budget aspect of, or like how to budgetize a deck. But I think as you test it, there might be things where it's like, oh well, this doesn't quite fit the slot that I want it to. Maybe it'd be better to do this function in that slot instead. So that is kind of the thinking there. So Kinsman's Agreement, maybe I want another negate or something, and that could be for offense or defense. I could do another like dual alignment enhancement. So I've got a couple options for negates here, like begging to go back is reasonable. 400 horses is not super budget. I could do 40 knights. It's a it's a dual alignment card. Sin and Justice, same thing, but not super effective on the offensive side. Brothers Conflict. I think maybe. Let's see. I think maybe one of the plagues could be good here, or one of the like steady till sunset is actually pretty good here in filling that slot, just because it it does negate and it cannot be negated, so it works well on Moses. It's also an Exodus enhancement. That could actually fill the Plague of Hail slot, though, because I'm not sure if Plague of Hail still belongs in this deck if I'm planning to play Pharaoh's Daughter as good. There are some options for brown Exodus cards that you could use to pay the cost for Plague of Hail. It's not many, so it's like Golden Calf Worship is kind of the main one there. So yeah, I don't think that Plague of Hail is actually going to end up being worth it, and I think maybe just put Steady Till Sunset in that slot. And I think maybe either Moses and Elders or Freedom could go in the Kinsman's Agreement spot. Water from the Lord is actually pretty good too when you're playing at CBP on Moses. You're withdrawing the evil characters. They don't necessarily have an option to negate it because their enhancements are still going to be prevented by Moses. And then you get to draw 3, which this deck is losing a little bit of speed with losing out on Moses the Servant and some of the other just kind of slow speed elements, like Book of the Covenant is a good, kind of slow resource accumulator. There is Covenant with Moses, but like I said, I think we might end up having to cut that, and that might actually be we could probably just start with doing that right now. The draw is good. I think that would either need to be replaced with Plague of Frogs or Water from the Lord. I think Plague of Frogs is maybe a good place to start. I think that's going to be the better option overall. So let's do that. And still not sure what we want to do with Kinsman's here. I think let's actually just go look over at the Roots cards right now. And the way that we can do that, since they're not currently in Lackey, is a couple good options here. One is the Redemption CCG Viewer. It's just another deck building and really just card viewing tool that we have for Redemption. It uses the same data as Lackey and also includes an additional filter of being able to sort by Testament, or like look at which cards are Old Testament and New Testament. Something that Lackey doesn't have included at this point. But anyways, it's a good option put together by Zach, or the Jambi is his handle on Discord and such. And he puts that together with every new release as we're kind of updating Lackey with the same stuff. Lackey takes a little bit longer to do, but yeah, he's got that updated with Roots, so you can sort by S:(Roots. That means that all cards from the set of Roots, S for set, and then that will pull them all up, and you can double click and get make the images show up a little bit faster here. Whenever you double click, it's just the next 5 images that haven't loaded are preloaded, and you can look through the whole set. For the purposes of this video, I am not going to use the Redemption CCG Viewer here, but I do have a link to it in the description if you guys want to use that check that out if you haven't already. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use Your Turn Games because it will give the price, and you can look through all the root stuff here. So if you go to Your Turn Games, also linked in the description, you can go to Buy Redemption CCG and then Singles. And if you use this filter over on the left here, you can scroll down to whatever set or brigade or rarity. There's lots of different filters you can put on here, but I'm just going to go to roots. And then right now it puts it in alphabetical order. That's not super helpful for me, so I'm just going to go to the sort here, and I'm just going to do date old to new, and that will kind of the way that they're entered into your turn games is kind of more or less in the set order, and so the kind of the oldest roots card is going to be like the newest or the earliest in the set. This buckler, it looks like Andy didn't enter them all in quite the same way. There's a few that are a little out of place here, but for the most part, we're in the right order here. So that is, we don't have a like sort by card number option here, unfortunately. But that's quite all right. We've got other ways to do that. So I'm just going to go through now and find the white cards, the white enhancements in particular, that I think we're going to want to use. So I think Freedom and Moses and Elders are the two that are most likely to want to be used. Jochebed also is the other character I was thinking about from Roots, of potentially including Amram is decent, but we're not necessarily going for the mill strategy here. Whereas Jochebed, she's got the protection and then also the soul gen, which we talked about wanting to include some soul gen in here and not being able to use harvest very effectively. So Jochebed would be a reasonable option, I think. So as far as a replacement for Kinsman's Agreement, I think Moses and Elders is a decent option. The fact that the ban is more broad, it bans to up to 3 OT human heroes instead of wilderness heroes, means that you can ban to your opponent's heroes, or you're more likely to be able to ban to your opponent's heroes. So I think Moses and Elders would be a good fit here. So let's just take one of these cards and we can make that a Moses and Elders M and E proxy. So that is that. Oh, now I'm not in Lackey anymore. There we go. Now we can. I'm not used to having to switch windows for you guys here, so bear with me on that. All right. So that is. These are a few of the higher end cards. Plague of Hail really isn't that high up there, so we're gonna have to go through. I think or go back to the spreadsheet and look at what the next ones to replace should be. I think we can probably just start looking at the reserve stuff here. You Will Remain, New Covenant, and Royal Parade, I think, can all be on the chopping block here. Royal Parade, I think we can just put in a different battle winner, so I think Freedom would be a good one for that slot. We could also think about using, I think I put it in here, yeah, Moses' staff, and putting some Exodus plagues in reserve, and that'll give a little extra reserve access to make up for the fact that Book of the Covenant is no longer in here. And honestly, Moses' staff is maybe a better, just kind of more realistic exchange for 20 shekels, or exchange for Book of the Covenant, sorry, instead of 20 shekels. I think we probably want both. So actually, maybe let's put Moses' staff in here as kind of the replacement for Covenant with Moses, and then we can put Plague of Frogs in reserve for Royal Parade, and then I think Freedom will also go in here for one of these. Freedom. Got to get that exclamation point on there. And then let's see. You Will Remain. That's a tough spot to fill. Indentured Servant is kind of like You Will Remain. And the Chosen Warriors is, there's a lot of add to battle stuff that this deck is trying to do. And that's You Will Remain is just kind of adding to that. So it was Angel of God, or at least it was. Um, let's see, what is the reserve kind of missing here? I mean, like, we could just go pretty straightforward and just put in a different covenant and put in Sprinkled Blood. I think that was, let's see, a card that was cut at one point from one of the versions here. So negate evil characters, top deck an evil character. We discard this card to take an OT white card from reserve. Yeah, I'm not like super happy about that, or like it doesn't really feel like it fits that well. I think probably just another one of the plagues here. So Plague of Darkness as a battle winner, Plague of Flies as a, I mean, it'll probably win a battle. I think I like Plague of Flies. It's just like maximum damage here. Plus, I mean, it's probably going to be negated by Moses, but if Moses is not negating Lost Souls, then Color Guard, which looks like this Prosperity here, Color Guard will be protecting evil characters in territory from harm. And so I guess, well, unless Moses' staff is making it regardless of protect abilities, then that will, our evil characters will be safe. Maybe you can use like Inhabitants Driven Out the turn before or something to bounce all evil characters, and maybe try to protect some of yours, save them from getting eaten by flies. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be either Plague of Flies or maybe Plague of Darkness, but I suppose Plague of Flies is a rare, so it's probably a little more expensive. All right, fine. We'll do Plague of Darkness for now, and if we've got price space, we can try out Plague of Flies later. So, all right, let's make these swaps in the spreadsheet and see where that puts us. So that is going to be, let's see. We need Covenant with Moses to become Moses' staff. It's a good $4.25 drop right there. Nice. Kinsman's Agreement, we decided was becoming Moses and Elders. Moses and Elders Roots, right at the top. Nice. Another good drop there. I think Miriam is probably getting cut for something else too. She's just a little bit too expensive here at $5. And we're also taking Royal Parade out of reserve, so we don't really need the involves music, like reserve access there. So let's see. We can come back to that. Virgin Birth might also get the chop and block here for something else. Maybe that would be a good swap for Water from the Lord, because it's like card advantage that's slow. Yeah, let's we maybe don't need to do that right away. I don't know. We could think about that a little more. Well, let's just do it for now, and then we can rethink Water from the Lord later if we think so. This isn't meant to be a finished product by any means, so let's do Water from the Lord in here. We'll change that so you guys can see it. There we go. Love Righteousness might also get cut. It's a $3 territory class enhancement. That's not as good with Moses gone, or with Moses down. But on the other hand, Moses, the Cloud of Witnesses Moses is a fairly large threat, I guess, to your opponent's, a lot of opponent's strategies with territory class enhancements and whatnot. So that's actually why I pulled the Courtyard into one of these, one of the potential cards to swap in here to help protect him. But if your opponent does discard your Moses, having Love Righteousness to get him back can be useful. So I think that's going to stay in for now, and then we'll see if the Courtyard makes it in at some point. All right, so potential in the land is $3. So we're going to switch that out for Faith of Moses, which is 75 cents. Good swap there. And this defense is kind of beefy with rares here. Job's Wife, Korah, Wicked Community, Wandering Israelites, and Rebellious Israelites, which is actually in the reserve. I had changed that and didn't change the order here. Reserve is at the bottom, but all right. So we swapped out You Will Remain for Plague of Darkness, and then New Covenant becomes, so let's see, Plague of Darkness, and the New Covenant becomes Plague of Frogs, or I guess it was actually Freedom, but Royal Parade became Plague of Frogs, so we'll put Freedom in there. So that trims that down by quite a bit. So let's see where we're at here. We're at 132. That's kind of getting close to the range that we want here. We're like pretty close to being happy with that. We do still have to cut out one card completely, get down to 50 here, and then at 25% off, which is it's even, we can just go look at the contender decks right now that Andy has up. So right now he trimmed him down quite a bit to just having the pretty recent contender decks now with right now just the Gospel of Christ. He's keeping them on more of a strict rotation than it was before. So like these were like 130, like the Disciples Demons was 133.75 is the retail price for all the individual cards, and then he's got it for sale at $95. So that's actually pretty much about the same price that we're at right here. And so that would probably just make it another $95 deck, and it's somewhere around like 27% off. So that's a really good deal. Andy's a generous guy. You guys should tell him how much you appreciate that when it makes sense, when you get the chance. So we could just leave it at that. I do need to figure out one more card to cut, and it probably would be one of these dominants. Because if you just look at the Disciples Demons deck, I guess there are 6 dominants in here. So, all right, that just don't support my point. Why don't you? I just have the Flood Survivors contender deck in here, which is interesting. Maybe it's getting a facelift at some point soon. But there's only 5 dominants in here. It's like kind of the 4 core like starter deck dominants, or like Son of God, New Jerusalem is IJ plus, and then Angel of the Lord, Christian Martyr, and then A New Beginning is kind of the one thematic support dominant. Let's see what the Gospel Angels and Gospel Demons one was. Yeah, that's only another 5 dominant deck. So yeah, it can go either way. Nativity, Herods, and Heroes. Oh, this one's great. I heard the guy who made this is cool or something. I don't know. All right, enough of that. Star of Bethlehem. Yeah, that makes sense. Is the 5th dominant here. So, anyways, let's keep the dominants in here for now. Let's figure out one more card to cut. I don't think this deck is like terrible. I think it's reasonable. Did we cut Virgin Birth? Did we make that swap? I think we did. Put in Water from the Lord. Yeah. Okay. I think this is like this defense. I didn't really talk about the defense a whole lot, other than the fact that it's mostly, not all wilderness. It's not all wilderness. We've got a Amalekite slave in here now, and then I also like Job's wife in here because Brown got some new CBP stuff that like Grumbling at God is pretty cool with Job's wife. She's not a wilderness human, so it doesn't negate other enhancements, but she already negates enhancements except for Job 1, so that's pretty cool. And then you withdraw all characters except one hero and one evil character, which a lot of times means that Job's wife is going to be able to stalemate somebody. Better to be slaves is really good on Job's wife. Capture up to 3 humans cannot be prevented, and the possibility of drawing 3 cards, like, yes, please. Descent against Moses works with Job's wife. Cora's Rebellion does not, although if you played on Cora and you ban a bunch of evil characters, including Job's wife, you'll still keep the band. You will negate all the other characters, though, and then Reap the Whirlwind can kind of work on Job's wife as well, depending on if they banned, and if their band is CBP or CBN. So anyways, cool stuff. I like Job's wife in this defense, and yeah, I think that is a good fit. The other thing, I guess, that we need to consider is the fact that with cutting Deceiver, we don't really have access to the evil characters in reserve as easily. So that means Rebellious Israelites should probably go in the main deck for something. That is a difficult part with... oh, I did it again. I didn't even... I went over Valaki and I didn't show you guys. I was saying, okay, yeah, you kind of know what I was talking about. Here's Job's wife. Here's grumbling at God. Here's better to be slaves. Here's dissent against Moses. All right. Then just, you can go through and close your eyes, listen to what I said, and then, or I don't know, take a screenshot. This is more than I signed up for. Just kidding. This is great. I like it. So Rebellious Israelites would probably be in the main deck. Yeah, I think because there's not. What I was saying is that's kind of a difficult part with contender decks is kind of figuring out reserve access, because a lot of the best, like kind of more broad reserve access cards are cards like Book of the Covenant. They're cards like Storehouse, which we do have a cheaper version of now. This one is $5 compared to the promo version, which is like 20 or something like that. So that is good, but there's still a little bit to be desired, I guess, as far as very inexpensive but effective and broad reserve access cards. I think the offense actually does this fairly well. We've got cards like Chosen Warriors that can just take, it's pretty broad, take a good OT card from reserve. Let's see, a Holiab, no, it's just from deck. Which one? Oh yeah, this one, Inhabitants Driven Out, where you can take an OT white card from reserve. It's another decent reserve access card. So there are some here. Moses' Staff is going to be kind of something we're banking on to getting these plagues out. And those Wilderness of Sinai can go to reserve, so I could swap one of the Exodus heroes over to the reserve. I'm also not sure if Aaron really needs to be in this version of the deck, so maybe he actually comes out for Jochebed. And that's a rare being cut, so that could actually be decent here. I think I'm going to go over and make that switch. I'll bring you with me just because I'm nice like that. Let's go over to Jochebed, Moses' mother. Look at that. Now we're at 130.25. And we still have to cut one card. All right, back to Lackey. Let's reorganize a little bit here. So this is out. This is still in reserve, but we got to figure that out. Boop boop boo doop doo. So this is Moses and Elders. That's in the main deck. That's getting cut. That's here. This is in reserve. This is in reserve. This is in reserve. These are all out of here. These are all out of here. Aaron is now Jochebed. Sorry, you didn't get the capitalization. All right, so that's pretty good still. Let's just cut one of the Angel of Lord or Christian Martyr. Like, they don't need to be in every deck. They're good, but they're not like, well, I don't know. I suppose they're good enough and they're cheap enough where it kind of feels bad if they weren't in there. But a lot of people have them. You can just make your own swap to the deck. Figure out, you're getting better variety of cards this way. But if you're getting started, then I guess it's nice to have. Uh, hmm. One card. One card. I don't think I can cut a hero. There are fairly few of them already. Probably Water from the Lord, I guess. Or I can just cut this Love Righteousness. I've got other ways to get Moses back, right? I mean, Pharaoh's Daughter is one of them. You can just bounce Pharaoh's Daughter with 20 shekels and play her again. Oh no, she doesn't go to discard pile. Hmm. Mm-hmm. I think maybe Love Righteousness could just go in reserve then in place of something else. So maybe Rebellious Israelites comes in. Love Righteousness goes to reserve. And then maybe I can cut Zelophehad. Because, like, he's not... Like, playing Tabra is nice, but it's not, like, amazing. And the draw 2 is also pretty good, but there are better ways to draw. He gets decent initiative for Reap the Whirlwind, which not too many of my characters do. But if you're getting initiative with Reap the Whirlwind, then they're banding, which means that a lot of your characters could get initiative. These guys are all like a lot of them are really big though. Like Dathan is the next smallest after Malachite Slave and Wandering Israelites, who typically don't want to stay in battle. Yeah, let's just cut Zelophehad. I do think Blood Avenger is good enough to find a way into the main deck as well here. So Zelophehad is being cut. Rebellious Israelites is moving to the main deck, and Love Righteousness is going to reserve. So let's go do that. Did I change Jokobed without bringing you guys with me? Oops, sorry. So go down to Rebellious Israelites, going back into the main deck. Zelophehad, sorry, bro. You are out of here. Cells will shift up. And then the Love Righteousness is going to reserve. And we're at 129.50. I like where that's sitting. Not too bad. So what do we want to put in reserve for Blood Avenger? We just don't have that many ways to get Blood Avenger out of reserve, so I think this is the best option here. Yeah, Wilderness of Sinai doesn't get him out. Yeah, without Deceiver, like, it's just not as likely to happen. And having another dual alignment character is pretty sweet for just the flexibility in a deck like this. Also kind of making up for some of the drawing we lost with Zelophehad, and the fact that Blood Avenger just chump blocks a lone hero that's bigger than 2/4. Well, bigger than 4/3, I guess, is for the hero side. So it's defeating the 2/4 Blood Avenger is just really good. Maybe we don't need Tabra. That's an option. Maybe Tabra should be the Courtyard. That's probably the better option, actually. I kind of like that switch. Blood Avenger. What would go better in reserve? Oh yeah, we need to swap Miriam out for somebody too, right? We haven't done that yet. Yeah, we still have Miriam in there. So who should Miriam become? I guess Miriam could come out, so Blood Avenger goes in here, and we could just put something else in reserve. Something completely new. Let's look at what our options are here. So that is coming in for that. I like that switch. Like, I'm not super impressed with the Courtyard. It's just the protection, and then you can shuffle an Evil Fortress, which normally the one you want to shuffle is Sheol, which is currently not targetable by the Courtyard because of plays to set aside. But I do say currently because there has been a hint in the Discord that may no longer be the case at some point here, that cards in set aside may be targeted by cards that don't specify set aside is kind of what the hint is getting at. So I don't know. We'll see if that happens or not. Um, Moses' parents is one that I kind of forgot that I was considering, and it works pretty well with the kind of Moses Voltron idea, like the Cloud Moses Voltron idea. Um, but I'm honestly not sure that you can use both Moses' parents and Jochebed because Jochebed is one of Moses' parents, so I think they kind of qualify as the same unique character. I'm not positive on that. I wonder if that is in the REG. Yeah, I'm gonna go look right now. Okay, yeah, and the duplicate cards in the REG, it's Jochebed or Moses' parents or Amram and Jochebed. It hasn't been updated with roots yet, but yeah, that will probably be in the next update. So, anyways, where were we here? Go back to Lackey. Did I forget to show you guys all that again? Yeah, I probably should have set this up as like a window, and then that way you just see whatever I see, and I don't have to think about it. But I wanted the camera to be able to move around too. So all right, so we're taking out Tabara for the courtyard, I think, just because I want to be able to protect Moses and territory, and I think that's the way to do it, the best way to do it. Oh, the most well. Let's see. Egypt doesn't get the courtyard, whereas if I put in Noah's Ark or Ark of Salvation, it's more broad and place to set aside, and it is fetchable with Egypt. Yeah, I think that's maybe better. Also, do I cut Jochebed for Moses' parents? Let's see. Her does some soul gen. Medad does some soul gen. Yeah, I think Jochebed gets cut for Moses' parents. All right. Fair enough. Sorry, Jochebed. All right, so Miriam, who does she get cut for? Or I guess, let's see, I'm putting something else in reserve. That's right. Putting something else in reserve. Do I put another evil enhancement? How's my evil access? It's Dathan. Giving Dathan some options seems good, but he can often just get one of the curses. I could put another curse in reserve. Currently have 2, and then Deserving Scorn will probably end up there. Could put another plague in here to have more options for that. Is freedom. Yeah, I'll figure that out. Let's just put one of the other plagues in for now. Let's put in Plague of Flies because we wanted to, right? That was part of the deal. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's probably where we're at. All right, let's see what the courtyard versus Noah's Ark is like on price wise here. So the courtyard is $3, so it's the same as Tabra. I think Noah's Ark has got to be at least 5. Oh, it's $250. This card is so good, guys. All right, well, Noah's Ark it is. It is a good fortress, not an evil one. Miriam is becoming Blood Avenger, so Miriam is becoming what did we say? Plague of Flies. Plague of Flies? And I didn't put all the plagues in there, so I wonder if one of the other ones is any better. I think Flies is the best, yeah. Alright. That is going to be in reserve. That's a $5 card. Oh boy. So that didn't cut us down on anything with Miriam. Oh well, we'll switch it out later for something else if needed. So that's in deck. So yeah, now we're at 50 in deck, 10 in reserve. We are just under $130 at 129 here. So that's pretty good. I'll probably look at it a little bit more and do some testing, figure out if there are other things that need to be cut. Andy's also going to take a look, go through, and kind of he does gauge a little bit of the cards that he wants to include based on availability and price, and kind of working out what rares are in higher demand and less likely to be able to be provided consistently for the contender decks. Last thing we want is someone to be like, oh, I really am excited about this deck, and then for there to be like, oh, sorry, we're short like 2 of the cards, which usually we can make something out or work something out, and Andy's great about thinking in advance of getting the cards that he needs in stock when he needs them, but it just makes it simpler for him to not have to worry about that quite as much. So anyways, that is where I think we're going to wrap things up here. Yeah, I like where this deck ended up. I think it is this is Noah's Ark. Not that, but yeah, I like this. I'm gonna try this deck out, do some testing, and we're gonna send it off to Andy. And these contender decks, there are gonna be a few new ones. This is one of the Israel's Rebellion themed ones. This is probably the most Israel's Rebellion themed ones. So take that, Derek. Derek's the other guy who is building contender decks for your turn games. So you guys can show some support for your turn games if you like this style of deck, and you want to check out this contender deck. You can do that soon. It might look pretty similar to this, might be a little bit different. There will probably be, I can say it most likely will be a little bit different, because just looking at this, it's like it feels very one-dimensional. I wanted to have it, a little more excitement to it. But it definitely is a bit of a challenge to build a deck on a budget, and it's a fun challenge. It's one that I enjoy doing, and I'm glad that it gives people like an entryway into the competitive scene, just on a more stricter budget, without having to invest fully with the dominance right away. I know people in my play group have started with some of the contender decks, and I really enjoyed playing with those, and then they've adapted them as they got more powerful cards, some of the ultra rares and stuff that aren't included, and now they have just very solid competitive tournament decks, and that's awesome. So I think that's a great way to get going if you're new to the game and you don't have as many cards, or if you're like, oh, this deck sounds really cool and I have maybe a few of the cards, but you can now just buy them all together at a great discounted price. So head on over to Your Turn Games if you're interested in doing that. Thank you to them for supporting this channel, and thank you to you for supporting this channel by just simply watching and sharing when it is appropriate, and you want to pass this information on to others. It's always appreciated. So anyways, that is where we're going to wrap things up, and we'll catch you all next time.